Up next here on RT International, I sat down with the daughter of South Africa's former president, Jacob Zuma. I sat down with a Duduzile Zuma, who's a member of the nation's parliament. We had a very wide-ranging conversation. She discussed her country's deepening ties with Russia as it does push back against Western influence. Also, her vision for an independent African continent, the global south, BRICS, and so much more. That conversation coming your way next. I have the pleasure of now being joined by the daughter of the former South African president, Jacob Zuma, but she's also a member of the country's National Assembly and the chair of the Southern Caucus in the Pan-African Parliament, Duduzile Zuma, now joining us here on RT International. A very warm welcome to you. Thanks so much for coming to the mothership.
Thank you for having me.
It's so good to have you here. I wanted to ask you, I'm a British expat. I lived in America for many, many years, but I receive a fair amount of grief from people here or there about my position in Russia, where I work for, what I do. When I go over through passport control in European countries, they like to ask me sensitive questions and they think I'm a spy and all these kinds of things. But I wanted to ask you, when you decided to return and travel here to Russia, did you encounter any problems or any criticism from others for coming here?
There will always be that. The noise around Russia, that's for sure. And I'm expecting headlines when I get home, to be very honest. But it doesn't bother me at all.
It doesn't?
At all. I know that, I know what Russia means to us.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating the times we're living in now. I like to say that we all have front row seats to some of the biggest changes happening in the world in many, many years, if not a century. It's an incredible time to be alive, but there is a huge narrative out there that's been spun for a few years, anti-Russia, anti-Putin, all these kinds of things. And in fact, Duduzile, you've been accused of even spreading so-called Russian propaganda. What's that about?
It's just that propaganda. I pay no attention to that. I think those kind of headlines are there to deflect, deviate on the greater mission that most of us have, which is in trying to rescue the world from unnecessary issues from the West.
Yeah, well said. I think it's a really strong comment there. I mean, take me back, if you would, Dodo, to 2023, the UK-based Centre for Information Resilience released a report that said that your position on Russia is, quote, it raises, at the very least, serious questions that need answers. Dudu, how do you respond to that?
A whole lot of hogwash, like like the British would say. Like I said, I really take no mind to that. They are just trying to make Russia an enemy, and I don't think that is correct. So I will stand up for what I believe in.
But you don't think they're trying to single you out personally on this? I mean, it sounds like a personal attack when they say something like that.
It really is, and because of my father, I would like to assume. So because of the position and how vocal President Zuma was on his relationship with Putin, his relationship with Russia, and the former liberation movement's military wing, which is Umkhonto Sizwe. So there's a lot of history that we have, and there's no noise that's going to stop us from ever keeping our relationships and ties with Russia.
I love this. I mean, I love this. You know, there are still, I don't know how to put it, colonial ghosts across the continent there, and we're still seeing today different countries across the continent trying to shake those shackles of colonial. There are still these ghosts there. You know, people are still they're still under the boot, so to speak. When it comes, you know, for example, the French and Senegal and the Sahel region, you know, taking all these rare earths and, oh my, we'll get there. We'll get there,
Can't wait to get there.
I wanted to just bring up one thing, though, because when it comes to the relationship between Russia and African countries, and I quote you on this, you said, a lot of us, especially in Africa, are leaning towards Putin now. And you continue, so the West is definitely going to feel threatened. That's a very intriguing statement you make there, Dudu. Is it a trend in Africa, or is it more of a slow grassroots campaign? How would you describe it?
I would like to believe that it is now Africa's time, right? And I say that because the West was very quick to call a lot of change in Africa as coup d'etats.
Yeah.
And now I like what the Sahel region is actually calling it. It's the coup de libération. So they want to liberate themselves from the shackles of the oppressors. Then there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Meantime, here we're seeing the Global South very much forging its position on the multipolar world stage. Enormous things are happening.
Yes.
But it also seems like there's another rush for Africa, like another rush for the breadbasket of the world, you know?
Yeah.
And if Africa was allowed to prosper and move forward without under pressure from external players, perhaps Africa could feed and energize the entire planet. There's so much potential in this part of the world. Your vision, the future role of Africa on the international political stage of the future, where do you see Africa?
I see Africa breaking the shackles, and that's what's happening now, and that's the biggest problem that the West is having. You know, so I think that we will probably, the new generation will carry on the fight and the vigor that our former leaders such as Gaddafi, Robert Mugabe, and my father had for Africa, which is a kind of a United States of Africa.
Yes.
Because together we can actually just put a fence around Africa, and we don't need the world, we don't need America.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Gaddafi. Didn't he make the tragic mistake of announcing a gold dinar to replace the US petrodollar? And that was apparently a very bad idea. He had to go. Saddam Hussein made the same suggestion. Let's get rid of the American petrodollar and use a pan-African gold dinar. Nope. He had to go as well. You see how the world works these
But look
days.
at it this way now as well. I mean, we're working on the BRICS currency, and all of a sudden, Putin is a problem.
Yeah.
So it's just a trend.
Well, Trump says BRICS is dead. He said we killed off BRICS. He also thought the S in BRICS was for Spain and not South Africa. I mean, come on, Trump, get your game together,
He hasn't watched
man.
enough videos.
Do you know? I mean,
BRICS.
if BRICS wasn't such a threat, then why is Trump attacking BRICS? Why is he threatening these enormous tariffs if BRICS is already dead?
Yes.
You know, I mean, just give me a break, Trump, honestly. I mean, you know, good luck, Mr. Trump. You've got your hands full these days.
Yes.
What about when it comes to, you were elected as the chairperson of the Southern Caucus of the Pan-African Parliament. You have a big responsibility in that role there. What are your main focuses there?
Well, when I was elected in that position last year, I went in there hopeful.
Yeah.
I was very saddened to find the kind of problems that are facing the Pan-African Parliament as well as our continent. And I think that all of the external factors are a great factor for that. So it hasn't been easy. I mean, every time there's a sitting, you'll find the former liberation movements of all the countries still trying to coup d'etat my seat, you know? Yeah, so it hasn't been easy, but we just forged along.
Yeah. I mean, listen. The fact is that, you know, Africa does have an awful lot of friends in the world, and those friends are only growing in size and number. I mean, I think Africa's in very good company right now.
No, it really is. But what the former liberation movements also need to understand is that we're looking at a situation where their time is up. I mean, look what my father, President Zuma, did for MK in South Africa. I mean, it brought down the ANC's majority. So that is what people are voicing out, maybe their dissatisfactions, and they just need to be able to take it on the chin and be like, the people don't want us anymore. Thank you for liberating us. We appreciate that. But please just step aside. Let's carry on.
Yeah, people are growing a backbone.
Yes.
You know, they really are standing on their own 2 feet these days. Now, look, we touched down on it briefly, Dudu, that more African countries are refusing to host European military forces, instead calling for their withdrawal. You look at, for example, France's complete pullout from Senegal, for example.
They didn't pull out, they were asked to leave.
Well, it's funny how you put it like that, because Macron was like, we're the peacemakers here. We're going to respectfully just kind of pull out a little bit. It's like, no, you got booted. You got kicked out of their military base and all these other stuff too. But it's also part of the rich Sahel region. But is it a trend? When you see the French getting kicked out of Senegal, is it a trend, do you think? Because I'm seeing a trend in action right here.
It is a trend, and I'm hoping one that will catch like a wildfire throughout the rest of Africa, because we haven't been given a chance to be able to like kind of resolve African problems alone. We always have interference. And the interference is actually what makes the problems even bigger, and the problem's never going away. It can't be that one country can be at war for years.
The relationships, though, between South Africa and America, clearly this is a very special relationship. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Is it a relationship that South Africa cherishes and nurtures with Washington, or is it starting to look perhaps more towards the multipolar world? Because, you know, Africa and South Africa in particular, it's going to have to do a fairly delicate dance these days, I think.
I don't know if it's a relationship that we should be cherishing, if it's a country that our liberation movement went to ask for assistance to help us fight apartheid, and they never did. So I don't know if we can cherish such relationships. And that's why we cherish a Russian relationship, because when we asked for help, they helped us.
Well, I mean, this goes back so many generations. Russia has been a helping hand in Africa for such a long time. I mean, I think it was first diplomatic ties established with Ethiopia back in the mid to late 1800s, you know. So America and some of the colonial powers don't have the best of memories, should we say, among the African population. But, you know, look, the multipolar world is certainly on the forefront these days. You've got the Global South, you've got the BRICS, the ASEAN, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. You have these geostrategic families coagulating together. Why are we seeing these new families come together outside of the G7?
It's because their time is up. You know, I think that the Americans, maybe the West, like to portray themselves as problem solvers, as people that can lead the world. And I think they give themselves that title delusionally, you know. And when other parties are coming together to say, actually, we're fine.
I mean, well, look, you know, the word propaganda can be split into many forms, you know, soft power, hard power. You talk about America, I mean, just Hollywood, for example, all these movies coming out of Hollywood about American superheroes saving the world. And you might go, oh, well, it's just another stupid American movie, but this is soft power propaganda right here. We
that
save the world.
Watch.
You know, raise the youth on this kind of soft power propaganda. I mean, you know, the older we get, it's like, wow. Don't believe you. I don't believe you. I'm only going to believe myself these days. You know, what a state of affairs we're watching right now. But
and that's why we're seeing so much change, because everyone's waking up. Actually, we can do it without them.
People, you know, people are not buying the mainstream narratives anymore. This is why, you know, after Trump got elected, so much of the mainstream legacy media took a nosedive. Their ratings went down the toilet because people were realizing CNN, my former employer, and NBC and Fox, and they're just talking a lot of BS because they all have an agenda. And that's why more and more people are watching RT International. By the way, you know, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. It's a pretty big deal. I know I'm getting really grey. I'm getting really, really old here. But in your opinion, Dudu, what role has RT played in journalism in the last 2 decades? I mean, look, we're blocked in Europe, we're blocked in America. I guess we must be doing something right.
Yes, that is correct. You really are, because it's a shame that once the sanctions started, South Africa fell into the trap and blocked RT in South Africa. There was a great outcry about it, and it's one of the things that when MK does take power, and because we are a government in waiting, that the RT channel will be open again. What a big things are happening. RT is expanding all over the world. We've got a huge reception in Latin America right now. It's growing in Africa, in Asia. RT is live and worldwide. Duduzile Zuma is the daughter of the former South African President Jacob Zuma. You're also a member of the country's National Assembly and the chair of the Southern Caucus in the Pan-African Parliament. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. And it's so good to have you in Moscow. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
Thank you.